Hello everyone, Christina here. You might be coming from my February 2026 walkthrough video, or if not, just welcome. You just found this video randomly. I'm going to walk you through how I store my stamps, dies, and stencils, in particular the products from my line with Concord and Ninth. So basically what I do for each release is I go through and I create some storage pockets, and the pockets that I use really are determined by the size of the product themselves. So here's this one right here. This is for the one-word greeting size, and this fits perfectly inside this little pocket. So I'm not going to do anything special to it. I don't need a magnet sheet or anything like that for this particular die set because it's pretty small. Now, one thing you might notice, especially when you're taking out the packaging, is that this like strip of tape, do you see that? Can get sticky and it might get stuck to your pocket. So I just take an anti-static powder tool when the dies are positioned on the sheet, just like so, and I just add a little bit of powder on top. I'm gonna blow off extra powder, and it takes away the stickiness only where I don't need it. So I'm gonna be doing that to I think all of my dies actually. So now I can just slide that in to my storage pocket. And I like this because it also preserves the back of the packaging that has the example of how the dies are used. So this one's done. I can set that aside. Let's look at one of these other die sets. This is the Love Hugs Hello, and there's quite a bit of tape kind of showing through right here. I'm going to do the same thing. I just add a little powder over the top to get rid of any of that, blow off any extra. And then I'm actually going to cut it down because the pocket I have prepared for this one, it won't fit. See, like here, it's just a little bit too tall. So what I do with this is I just lop off the top and bottom, and it does preserve the back of the packaging. I've got paper all on my scissors. It does preserve the back of the packaging. So if I ever need an example of what the dies look like, I have that. So I'm just going to lop that off the bottom. I'm not being precious about it. Just going to take it like that. And then I can store it on the sheet itself. So I'm putting this into a storage pocket that unfortunately has been discontinued by Brutus Monroe. But this used to be their 6x8 storage pocket. I have a bunch of these hanging out because I bought a ton a long time ago. So I'm working through them, and I'm going to be really sad when I can't purchase them anymore. So that one's done. I'm going to do the same thing with the Daphne's Flowers inlay dies. And this die set in particular, I don't want to lose the packaging because it has all this helpful labeling on the flowers and leaves. So I know which elements pair with the outline die. So I'm going to do what I did with the previous die set. And this is where you have to make sure you don't have any of that tape sticking to your packaging. I'm just going to go over each area where there's tape with a little bit of my powder tool. Get a little powder right there. Blow that off right there. And then I'm just going to lop off the top and bottom, and it'll keep that area right there. And then I'm going to be putting it in the same size of storage pocket that I used for the previous. Or actually, is it the same size? Yeah, I think it is. Let me grab this into this storage pocket, and it's already labeled with Daphne's Flower Inlay Dies. Now you might be asking yourself, what am I using to label? I'll talk about that in just a moment. Okay, up next, let's do a stamp and dies set. So for the stamps, I'm just going to take it out of its packaging. And for the dies, I'm going to do what I did before as well. All right, I'm going to go ahead and run my powder tool over those lines of tape. Blow that extra off. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut this down. And I kind of find that these backer cards really do give it quite a bit of stability. And then I still have those numbers on the back. All right, so here's my storage pocket. This one is a storage pocket from Simon Says Stamp. And I'm going to do this differently, actually. I'm going to put the stamps in the front. And then I'm going to take the dies and I'll put those behind. And that's what I'll do with all my coordinating dies. And that just makes it easier to see the stamps themselves. All right, so that one's in a storage pocket. All right, I think all we've got left is we've got a couple stencil sets, but this one, let's do the layered lattice first. So layered lattice stencil pack. I normally don't do this, but I think I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to cut the packaging down as well, just because I want the examples on the back. So I'm cutting this down. And then I have a large pocket here with a black insert that I've cut myself. I just bought some really inexpensive black cardstock. And then I'm going to put the stencils in the front. And I like black because it really, you know, when I'm looking at my products, my collection, I can tell, oh, that's a stencil because it has a black insert. Then I'm going to put the packaging example on the back. So if I ever need to kind of see what the stencils look like, I can just flip it over and I can see it right there. And then I'll just close that up. All right, so this last set of products is a bundle. I've got a large stencil set, the dies, and the stamps. So I'm going to use the same large pocket that I used for the previous stencil pack. I've got all three labeled on my pocket. So I'm going to take the stencils and I'll go ahead and put those in right there. And for this one, I don't think I'm going to keep the stencil packaging. Actually, yeah, maybe I will. Maybe I will, because I do like to be able to see that. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this. You can also use a paper trimmer, but like seriously, I'm getting these wonky lines. Like it doesn't matter to me. This is just for, you know, storage purposes. So I'm going to go ahead and I think I'll put this in the back like I did before on the previous pocket. The stamps are coming out right here. I'll put those in front of the stencils because it's still easy to read them because the stencils are that light color. And then for the dies, I'm going to do the same thing I did before. Make sure that will come out of the packaging. And I especially like the examples on the back here. So I want to make sure I preserve that. So I'm just going to, in fact, this one that might fit. Yeah, it fits in without even having to cut it down. So I'm not going to worry about it. But I am going to take my powder tool and go over those powder, go over the tape areas. Once again, just makes it so it's not super sticky anymore. Then I can put this in the pocket in the back and close this up. Now this is a pretty beefy bundle of products. It's pretty thick, but it does have everything in the bundle and it is properly labeled. So the last question you might have, well, I'm going to link everything that I'm using, all the different storage pockets down in the video description. But you might be wondering how I label these. So I actually use a special label printer that hooks up to my computer and I can type in everything that I need. So I use the P-Touch, I think it's just the cube printer. I'll have it linked down below. It's from Brother, and they have a software that they use that where you can actually import a spreadsheet, a CSV file, and then you have everything right there. So I'm going to switch to some screen recording so you can see how I do that, and we'll be right back. All right, so here I am in Google Sheets, and I have a spreadsheet here, and in the first column, I have the brand name. So for this particular product labeling, it is my own brand. So I have Christina Werner listed here. But if you were using for another brand, say Pink Fresh or Altenew, you would replace that with the brand you're making storage pockets for. I like to have it all in caps just to make it super easy to read. The next column over, I have the item number. Now, if you want to skip this, you definitely can. But I like to have the item number in particular because if I ever need to search for the item online, I have that item number and it will be much easier to find. This is great if you want to pull products that are discontinued. You could go to a crafty store like Simon Says Stamp or even the brand store itself and just type in the item number. And if it doesn't show up and there's nothing in their shop, that means it's probably discontinued. So you could then either sell that product or give it away or something like that. Sometimes, or a lot of times, it doesn't matter if it's discontinued. It's in your stash. Go ahead and use it. But I like this feature because being a creator online, I most of the time want to make sure I'm using current product. And then over in the third column, move this over here, in the third column, I have the complete name of the product. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to export this spreadsheet. If you're using like Microsoft Excel, you would do the same thing. You would just save it as a CSV file. So I'm going to go File, and then let's see, where is it? Download. And you want a comma separated values file. Okay, so now we're over in the Brother P-Touch Editor software. I'm going to go to Recent because I have the product already set up the way I want it. So I'll hit Recent, and I'm going to go to this one right here. I've already labeled it. Okay, so it already has a database open, but I'm just going to replace that. So I'm going to Database Open. It's asking me if I want to merge the files or whatever. That's fine. And then I'm going to find the correct file. So here we are. I've got that file I just created, and now I have all of my products listed down here below. So what you need to do is I have 3 different text boxes right here. If you're creating your label for the first time, you can set this all up. I'm just going to undo a couple of those because I moved them. But now that I have this database open, I'm going to tell the software where I want all of this information. So I have this selected right here. And I'm going to go to Database Field, and I'm just going to say F1 because it is in the F1 column. For the number right here, watch it closely. It's going to change here. I'm going to change it to F2. And it changes to the number that's in my database down here. And then for the product name area, I'm going to change that to F3. Okay, so now all of my different database lines are ready to go. I can print them individually by selecting each one, or you can do what I find is the easiest, and just go to Print. And I'm going to do All Records. And I'm going to have it be auto cut. And this means as it prints, it's going to automatically cut each piece just how it shows over here. It's super easy to do that. I'm not going to print these right now, but if I was, I could just hit print and my little label printer would start to print out. This is probably also a really good time to mention the size of labels I'm using. I'm using the 0.47 inches, so it's about 1/2 inch, and it is black printing on white label. All right, so that's a quick look into how I store all of my stamps, dies, and stencils, especially when there's bundles or anything like that. I will have everything I'm using linked down below in the video description. There is one storage pocket that I didn't need for this release in particular, but there is a storage pocket that's about this size that's actually for stamps. It's not this heavy duty plastic. It's a little bit of a lighter plastic, so it doesn't take up so much room in your storage. And that's a smaller stamp pocket from Gina K Designs. I'll link to that down in the video description as well. Thanks so much for watching today, and I will see you all next time.